Hello everyone. We will be obliterating Kashimo today. We're done with this guy, okay? Let me put this in bold and increase the size of it. We are done. We're done with Kashimo. Okay? Ignore the... It's probably going to be a very loud noise. I hope it's not. But, you know, I have to keep the fan going because my dog is in my room right now. He keeps panting. So please ignore that. But let's get into it, okay? Okay. How does Hikari fight? I have to go into this because this has to do with a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to say after this. So how does Hikari fight? I've gone over this many times, and I'll go over it for the people who haven't watched my videos before. And I'll sum it up in like a sentence. When Hikari knows he's going to heal, he doesn't have to try. Alright? That's what I have to say. And so, an example of this is when Hikari is going against Charles, right? Charles, remember, he has 2 seconds of future sight and yada yada, right? And despite this, he still can't hit him. And Hikari even says that. You can't hit me, right? And then even after Charles acknowledges the fact that he cannot hit him, they continue fighting. They're still fighting over here, bro. They're still fighting. But remember, Hikari said, you cannot hit me. But suddenly, from out of nowhere, Charles is able to do this. Alright? Now, this is a very funny, like, it's not even logical to like argue against this. It just makes no sense to me, right? Hikari says you cannot hit me. We see multiple examples of this. This guy's literally, remember last chapter, remember the chapter before this. I'm not gonna put every single chapter, but I'm gonna put most chapters. I'm assuming you guys remember when Hikari was fighting against Charles and his hands were in his pockets, indicating that he wasn't taking him seriously. He's literally dodging him and he has his hands in his pockets. Maybe he's behind him, but it's very likely that his hand is literally in his pocket right here. And he's still dodging him despite all this. And then suddenly this just happens. Right? And clearly what happened is that, you know, Hikari knew he was going to get a jackpot. So he was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Because he didn't know back here. He didn't know. But now he knows. And he's like, okay. Bow. Right? And this might seem like a one-off, and this might seem like something that I just made up, but it's consistent, right? I'm gonna go over it with Hikari in a second, but there's also like other examples, like, I mean, it's his entire thing. Like in Jackpot, when he's fighting and he knows he's going to like take some hits, he doesn't care because he's gonna heal it anyways, right? So this is where we get into base Kashimo versus base Hikari. Now, for the longest time, I assumed that base Kashimo, right? I assumed that base Kashimo was like completely clear of Hikari, bro. I was like, oh yeah, base Hikari is buns compared to Kashimo, right? And then I continue rereading their fight, and I was like, wait. Is that really the case? You know what I mean? Like, is that really the case? So we go into base Kashimo versus base Hikari, right? And Kashimo blatantly freaking tries to blitz Hikari, and he's able to react, right? What the? Y'all heard that, bro? Anyways, yeah. Hikari's able to react, and they're fighting. Obviously, I will say, like, some Kashimo fans probably like clicked off already, but I will say, Kashimo did outdo him in hand-to-hand combat. I will say that. That is something that Kashimo does have over Hikari, right? And that is something that is going to be very prominent going forward in this video. It's going to be super prominent, alright? But remember, Hikari is able to react to Kashimo, but he's being outdone by him because of hand-to-hand combat, right? Kashimo's not a blitz tier above Hikari. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not insanely clear of him. They're relative in speed, but Hikari's getting outdone in hand-to-hand combat. But still, regardless of that, right? Because I'll give him the fact that he has hand-to-hand combat. But regardless of that, Hikari's still able to heal, and he knows he's able to heal, right? And so the reason why I had to mention how Hikari fights, and you know why I wanted to put base Hikari versus base Kashimo, is because we get. Oh damn! I just realized there's something else I need to bring up. I just freaking what the hell? Anyways, there is something else I have to bring up, and it's. Oh, actually, no. I don't have to bring up anything else. I'll put this up here, right here. So, again, yeah, Hikari's getting outdone in hand-to-hand combat, but regardless of that, they're still relative. But also, how, bro? That motorcycle's literally. I know he's just sitting right there, bro. Get moving, bro. Damn. Anyways, okay, what was I saying? Hikari is being outdone in hand-to-hand combat, but he's still able to react to him. But also, he's just plainly not trying, right? Like I said again, when he knows he's going to heal, he's just not gonna. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time he's just not going to try. He doesn't need to try. That's what I meant. Not most of the time he's not going to try. He doesn't need to try. Right here, why does he need to try? Right? All he wants is a jackpot. He wants to go get a jackpot. And remember that Kashimo's entire thing is to stop him from getting a jackpot. He doesn't want him to get back unkillable. The guy literally, I'll go into it right now. I'll show it right now, actually. He makes this freaking face because he's like, oh my gosh, this guy got a freaking jackpot again, bro. The entire point is that Kashimo's trying to stop him from getting a jackpot, right? And so we all acknowledge that, right? We all acknowledge that Kashimo's trying to stop him from getting a jackpot. And so we enter this very, like, weird scene right here. Hikari and Kashimo drop into reach mode, right? And this reach mode, I mean, I'll go into what reach mode is. Reach mode is after Hikari uses a hype indicator, right? So for the Charles fight, he shot a pachinko ball and then he used the doors. He used 2 of those, and that led to the reach mode of this, right? And the reach mode was the guy's trying to get over the train and he fails. So he fails the jackpot, right? The second reach mode, the second attempt, right? The second attempt was he uses the train doors, right? And then they get sent to reach mode once again. And in the hype scenario here, the reach mode, my fault, hype scenario. The reach mode here is the main character and the love interest, I'm pretty sure. She's waiting for the train or something like that. Whatever. The point is, they're fighting. They continue fighting during reach mode, right? And what I want to emphasize here is that they cannot mess up with the flow of the reach scenario, okay? And Hikari just plainly says it. He's like, I choose the effect. Obviously, this is referring to the visual indicators, the hype indicators that I mentioned earlier. But he says, the success of the jackpot is up to luck. It always is. That's the point, right? Hikari himself cannot do anything to the jackpot. He gets a jackpot, or he gets, you know what I'm saying? Okay, no, actually, let me rephrase that, right? Because people do theorize that Hikari like abuses the chance manipulation or whatever. He abuses it. No. Maybe you can say that. Maybe he does that. But what I mean is that he cannot affect anything that happens in the reach scenario. So, for example, actually, it's literally just my fault, Chad. I'm doing this like entire crazy explanation. I forgot that Charles literally says it. This is a visualization, so obstruction is pointless. All I can do is watch it unfold or defeat the sorcerer before it ends. Okay, my fault, Chad. I genuinely forgot that it was literally just stated. I was about to do this like entire long-winded explanation of why you can't do anything to the reach scenario. It's stated, okay? It's stated. My fault. So going back to it, we go back to this scene right here where I've never really understood what was going on. Hikari and Kashimo get sent to a reach mode, and this is a new reach mode where this guy needs to get to like the bathroom in a separate station, right? Kashimo and Hikari spawn in front of each other. Kashimo finds out what's going on, and remember again, Kashimo is trying to stop him from getting a jackpot. And so I always saw this and I was like, okay, maybe Kashimo and Hikari both hit these, right? Maybe Kashimo and Hikari both press the button right here. But that makes no sense. Because, first of all, Hikari and Kashimo, they're not facing the left side. You know, they're not facing... Is it the left side? Yeah. Kashimo's not facing the left side and kicking the freaking thing, right? There's... Look. Look at the positions. They're in front of each other. And they're still in front of each other. Plain and simply, they continued fighting while the reach scenario was going on, and Hikari he did not die, right? And so I thought about it, I was like, oh, just like I said earlier, when Hikari knows he's going to heal, he doesn't have to try. Over here, he's going to try, all right? Because he doesn't have pseudo spins to save him from getting freaking knocked out anymore. But over here, it doesn't matter. But he's fighting against Kashimo right here while the reach scenario is going on. And he plain and simply, he just does not die. Right? So I just had to add that, right? Because it really shows it doesn't show actually. It doubles down on what I'm going to go on next. What I'm going to talk about next, which is base Kashimo versus Jackpot Hikari. Now, I understand the cope about this, right? Because we see two characters who are fighting against each other. And they're going blow for blow in quotations, right? But then, like, we completely ignore, like, a scene where Hikari just blatantly outstats Kashimo. There is no amount of cope you can get to get around the fact that Hikari sunned him right here. There is no amount of cope you can like come up with. There isn't. Kashimo got completely obliterated right here. The guy literally... Okay, let me explain what's going on here, okay? Kashimo and Jackpot Hikari are going relative in quotations, right? Hikari says, I'm gonna go all out. And so Hikari ups the pace. He punches Kashimo 3 times. And Kashimo acknowledges, oh, he's even faster, right? Another motorcycle, bro. Anyways, Kashimo acknowledges, okay, he's even faster, right? We understand that. We all agree. Okay. This is where, if it was a regular tempo change, Kashimo should be able to adjust to his speed again, right? Because I can go to... What's a good example of a tempo change? I don't know why I didn't bring this up, but let me bring it up real quick for you guys. Actually, a good example is something I'm going to go over later. So I guess that's why I didn't bring it up. But I'll just bring this up as well. A good example of a tempo change where the character acknowledges the change and is still able to... He acknowledges the change in pace, but is still able to fight against that character is this right here. Sukuna's going against Gojo without his curse technique. Gojo with his curse technique comes out of nowhere and blitzes, in quotation, Sukuna. Sukuna's like, oh, his speed, what the heck? And then he goes on to fight Gojo over and over again in 3-minute intervals, relatively. Because obviously, Gojo is not a blitz tier above Sukuna. What's going on here is that a pace change occurred, right? Gojo suddenly got faster and Sukuna was like, oh crap, okay. And then he adjusted to it. For over here, Hikari suddenly got faster and Kashimo was like, oh shit, okay. So now, logically, if Kashimo and Hikari are like super relative, Kashimo should be able to, adjust to it, just like Sukuna is. But he's not able to. Hikari continues to beat the crap out of him. Boom, boom, boom. Kashimo tries to retaliate. Where is he punching? I've never seen something like this before, bro. Where is this guy punching, bro? Hikari's gone, man. He's gone. And Hikari takes his fist and bends him over like a bad little boy. Look. Bends him over his knee, bro. Bad boy. Pooh. Bad boy. Pooh. Not you, King. Not you. my dog. My dog be... Anyways. He bends him over. Bow. 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 This guy's not relative to Jackpot Hikari. It's just not the case. And so now I would have to tell you why Hikari wasn't using these stats all along. And the reason for that is because in the first freaking chapter of their fight, Hikari's, first of all, dominating Kashimo. But also, Kashimo sends a lightning bolt that he doesn't know the specifics of. He still doesn't at this point. But all he knows is that, okay, he just shot it. So he shouldn't be able to shoot it again for a long time. For a little bit, right? And so he's like, okay, now let me go all out again. Right? But from the moment that he shot the lightning bolt, he's on edge. He's not about to go all out, because regardless of that, Kashimo can just shoot a freaking lightning bolt and cut off his arm out of nowhere. He's gonna okay, let's chill out. You know what I mean? But these are Hikari's real stats right here, and Kashimo's generally just not able to keep up. All right, so Jackpot Hikari doesn't scale to Kashimo, and this is why I have to say this, because Kashimo loses his, in quotations, scaling to Hikari. The most you can say is that he scales to base Hikari. And who really like, do you guys want to settle for that? Yeah. Base Hikari and base Kashimo are relative, bro. There we go. You know what I mean? But do not scale into Jackpot Hikari, because he doesn't scale to him. Okay? I've seen a lot of cope for this. I did say earlier that you cannot come up with cope to go against this, but I'll go over one thing I've seen people say. Obviously, the main consensus is that we're just gonna ignore that this happened, right? Every Kashimo fan, they just ignore that this happened. But I've seen one specific cope that Kashimo was taking attacks on purpose to charge up to do this attack right here. That's not the case, right? What actually happened? Let me explain Kashimo's technique, right? Kashimo is the one with the charges. I don't know why I have to explain that, but he's the one with the charges. When he shoots a lightning at people, he gives the person, I think it's a positive or a negative charge. I don't know which one it is. He's the one who gives the person a positive or a negative charge. Actually, I can bring it up right here. I don't know if he gives the person a positive or a negative one, but it says a positive charge. Yes, he gives the opponent the positive charge. Kashimo, by himself, has both the positive and the negative charge, right? And so when he's fighting against someone and he punches them, he gives them a positive charge. And then eventually, when it's charged up enough, his negative charge from him shoots towards the positive charge, and that results in the lightning discharge, okay? That's the attack. What happened here is that on his staff already was positive charges. There were already positive charges. All Kashimo had to do was just send it. Nothing that happened here has to do with what happened here. Nothing. All Kashimo was doing was waiting for Hikari's Jackpot to run out so he can shoot it and try to kill him outside of Jackpot. Okay? That's just what happened. So, honestly, what you guys would have to do for base Hikari to base Kashimo, to cope for him, is to, you know, come up with some new cope for here. But this is pretty self-explanatory. This is pretty, like, you know what I'm saying, pretty set in stone. You guys can come up with new copes, but, you know, it's pretty blatant what's going on here. Page change that Kashimo cannot adjust to, so Kashimo is just plainly just outstatted by Hikari. So yeah, right? I'll give you guys base Kashimo going relative with base Hikari. That's all I'll give you, right? And now we get into Kashimo killed Hikari 2,000 times. Now this is another cope for Kashimo fans. And we think about, you know, Kashimo killing Hikari, right? So, I've always thought about this, and I'm like who, like, Let me get it. Look, okay. I've always thought about this, and I'm like, are you guys okay? You know what I mean? Like, who says that? Like, you see, look, okay, you see people talk about other fights, right? And you don't usually see people say things like this unless it's for Kashimo in this fight specifically, right? A good example is let me think. Gojo versus Sukuna. There's a lot of examples I can bring up, but a good example is Gojo versus Sukuna. The first example of like, oh, Gojo killed Sukuna, right? Like for example, right? This is literally one of the examples of people saying like, oh yeah, Kashimo killed Hikari like 4 times, right? And it's literally the attempt of Kashimo trying to kill him, and then Hikari just heals through it, right? And so an equivalent of that for like Gojo versus Sukuna is this right here, right? Sukuna says like, oh yeah, Hollow Purple would probably be like fatal to me, right? Because I'm giving you guys the benefit of the doubt, because Hikari's like, oh, I'm almost died there, right? So I'm giving you guys like literal examples of things where the character's like, oh yeah, that could have killed me, and then they go over it, and then no one says like, oh, Gojo almost killed him so many times. Does that matter for the fight, right? So this happens right here, right? Again, Sukuna in the previous chapter is like, okay, if I get hit with a Hollow Purple, that's probably gonna be fatal, right? And he gets hit with a Hollow Purple, okay? He gets hit with a Hollow Purple right here. Pow! Right? Gets hit with a Hollow Purple. And no one's like, oh, Gojo almost killed him. Now, honestly, actually, you know what? I do see people say that. But no one takes Gojo fans seriously. And you know why? Because they're delusional. So it's the same thing for Kashimo fans. It low-key is, right? Because Kashimo fans think that Kashimo's stronger than Hikari because he, in quotations, almost killed him so many times. And it's the same thing for Gojo. Even though Gojo's like, yeah, Sukuna's stronger than me, right? It's cope. It's really just cope. Honestly, I don't see people say this. Look, okay, what did I say? I don't see people say the exact same thing for Gojo. Like, I don't see people say, oh yeah, Gojo almost killed Sukuna like 3 times. But they do say that like, oh, you know, oh, Sukuna almost lost. That was like, that's something that they say. But yeah, you don't look at this and be like, oh yeah, so Gojo's stronger because he almost killed him here. Does that even make sense? What are we talking about? Right? Like what are we actually talking about? What's another like thing of like what like I just don't understand, cuz again, yeah, it's just cope, honestly. I just can't take it seriously. Like, this might be what they're talking about. I'm trying to think. What is the examples of Kashimo almost killed Hikari that they use? Maybe they use this, but also, again, like, I explained how Hikari just plainly wasn't trying. And we have a base Hikari going against base Kashimo, and he's not dying like he was before. So it's proving what I'm saying, right? So it couldn't be this. I hope it's not this, right? We obviously have, again, this one. This one is a good example of Kashimo almost killing Hikari. But it didn't kill Hikari. So, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we doing? I just don't understand. I just don't, I literally do not understand, like, what's the point? Because Kashimo continues to try to put down Hikari, and he cannot. Hikari just gets through everything he shoots. I just don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a non-point. It's such a, like, terrible point. I just don't understand. You know what I mean? I just don't understand this point. It just makes no sense. I just proved to you guys that they're relative in base, sure. But Jackpot Hikari is stronger, so. This is, like, really dumb. So let's stop saying that, and let's come up with some new cope for this, please, okay? How do I, where's the cross out symbol? How do I do that? I forgot, bro. It's been a minute. Insert? Not insert. Frick. Horizontal line. I forgot! Dude. feel like there was like a drop down menu here, bro. Like, where is it? Am I bugging? There used to be a drop down menu here. That's what I'm looking for. Fuck. Bro, yeah, I don't know, but I genuinely forgot. Anyways, yeah. So, yeah, we've established that Jackpot Hikari is just completely clear from, right? And now we get into some niche cope, the strongest in the Edo era. Now, this is used to get like Kashimo top 3, right? We'll get into NBA Kashimo, right? Because that's the one where I respect more for Kashimo being top 3. But we have the strongest in the Edo period narrative thing. And I again, I think that Kashimo is the strongest in the Edo in terms of like his time period, right? I think that's pretty blatant. Like I'm not seeing like the Ryu thing. Obviously, again, Ryu might have not even been in his prime or something, right? So that's not indicative of their fight. But I don't think that Ryu existing during his time period puts his narrative down. You know what I mean? We might get into Kashimo versus Ryu in a second. But I do think that Kashimo does have that portrayal to be like the strongest in the Edo period, right? But like when you actually think about it, it's like, what does that even entail? Right? Because Kashimo is this lonely character, right? He's so lonely that, okay, actually let me break this down. To be lonely, you have to be like a level beyond everyone, to the point where like they cannot understand you, right? Or whatever they have just doesn't, they like, you can't understand them, and they can't understand you, right? And so like we see examples like Sukuna, who's lonely at the top, who no one can understand, or who's lonely at the top, who can literally like obliterate everyone, right? And then Gojo as well. Gojo's lonely in the modern era, and the closest one to him is like Yuta, and Yuta's getting obliterated by him, right? And then we have Kashimo, and it's like, okay, if Kashimo's supposed to be this lonely character, the characters he's going against have to be a level where he can just obliterate them. I'm not gonna go as far as to say that like, oh, he can one-shot them, right? Gojo and Sukuna, they can literally one-shot Yuta level characters like Yorame, right? Kashimo, we're giving him the benefit of the doubt because, again, he can't even do that to Jackpot Hikari. He loses to Jackpot Hikari, right? Like, that's pathetic in its own, but he doesn't have to one-shot the characters who he's far above. He can beat them. And so we get into characters like freaking Panda. You know, like, he can beat Panda, so Panda can't like, understand him. But then we have Jackpot Hikari tier characters who are just blatantly stronger than him, and then Hikari in general who can just beat him. And it's like, why are we gassing this title? It means nothing. He's weaker than Jackpot Hikari, and he's weaker than Hikari who can beat him. If Hikari was back then, if Hikari was in the Edo period, Kashimo wouldn't be this lonely figure because there would be someone stronger than him. Like, you don't see it? You know what I'm saying, right? If Hikari was in the Edo period, he wouldn't be this lonely figure because there's someone stronger than him. Or, which is funny, I just realized this, someone can be stronger than him, but Kashimo can just be so delusional that he's still lonely. Right? Ryu can be stronger than Kashimo, but Kashimo can still be this lowly, strongest in the Edo period kind of figure. He can still be this lonely, delusional guy, despite there being people who are literally stronger than him, like Hikari. And the reason why I think that is because Hikari does beat him, and he's still freaking trying to understand his loneliness to Sukuna. Bro, you literally lost. You literally lost. Right? And you know what's so funny about that? Oh my freaking gosh, bro. That just scared me. That just scared the crap out of me, bro. I just got freaking blitzed, bro. I got blitzed by that sound. Oh, gosh. King, sit down, man. Go to your bed. Go to your bed. Oh my gosh, that just blitzed me, bro. that was a tempo change, bro. Damn. That I've never been scared. Oh, I've never gotten like jump scared by that ever, bro. Goodness gracious. Anyways, what was I saying, bro? Yeah, the funniest thing about that is that, yeah, what is that sound? That's what he's reacting to. I don't know what that sound is, but yeah, the reason why, like, I'm actually thinking twice about it, right? Thinking twice about, like, maybe Ryu is stronger than him, but he's just delusional, right? Hold on, chat. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm pretty sure I said that, like, the reason why I'm side-eyeing it is because, like, we go to, like, the Gojo fight. What chapter was that? It was 233. We go to the Gojo fight, and, like, he's literally about to lose. And what does he think about? Guys, what does he think about when he's about to lose? Right? Hold on. Satoru Gojo could lose. Gojo himself was aware of that prospect. Gojo is about to lose. He acknowledges that, oh yeah, he's about to lose. So what does he think about? He thinks about Toji, and he's like, yet along with the signs of defeat came an undeniable feeling of satisfaction. Being the strongest sorcerer came with a sense of isolation, so the source of his present sense of fulfillment was, and it was fighting Sukuna in a fight where he literally could lose. And Kashimo plainly loses. He's literally about to die. Right? And there's no, you cannot cope about Mythical Beast Amber because he never uses it in his first life. Like, that's the biggest thing. Kashimo does not use Mythical Beast Amber in his first life. So that cannot be the reason why he's not, like, he's not rid of his freaking loneliness. You know what I mean? That cannot be the reason why. He doesn't use it. He's lonely with base. He's lonely in base, bro. So that means no one beat him in base. No one even forced him to even think about using it. Forced him to even think. What? Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Right? So there is no cope about the Mythical Beast Amber, bro. That doesn't matter. The guy loses in base. And in base, he had the loneliness. He might just be delusional. He might literally just be a deranged old man. And he really is. He is an old man. He's a freaking... It's in this chapter, bro. He's a freaking old man, deranged, dying, bro. Like, he might literally just be mentally ill. He might be mentally ill, bro. That's just it, right? So that's crazy. Like, that's actually crazy, right? Because Gojo literally says, "Oh yeah, I didn't die to old age or sickness, which Kashimo was dying to, but to a stronger opponent." Just kill me, just kill me, Hikari. Just kill me, big bro. Just kill me, please. Very pathetic. So now we get into NBA Kashimo, right? And this was a form of Kashimo that I used to assume was, like, supremely strong. I actually thought that Kashimo was top 3 because of this form. I thought that, you know, Kashimo was relative to a Jackpot Hikari. Jackpot Hikari is relative to Yuta. Yuta is the second strongest in the modern era, so that means he's, like, you know, the benchmark for the modern era. He's stronger than, like, Ryu. And, like, you know, it's a whole bunch of characters. Basically, like, Yuta's, like, the pinnacle. Kashimo's relative to that. And then Kashimo gets a form on top of that. And I was like, oh, yeah, Kashimo's top 3. We've already established that Kashimo's not even relative to Jackpot Hikari. So, we can, you know what I'm saying, we can get that out of the way, right? So, what does NBA do for him, right? And so, I've gone over this multiple times in my head. I've gone over the fight multiple times, and I'm like, I've come to a conclusion, okay? I think Mythical Beast Amber Kashimo isn't that fast or strong. And the reason why I think that is because you cannot properly scale him, right? I think he's faster than he was before, right? And it's blatant, right? Because we see a base Kashimo easily reacted to by Sukuna, and then Sukuna, what's that on the floor? What's that? Anyways, I just randomly saw that. Yeah, so base Kashimo is easily reacted to by Sukuna, and then Kashimo goes into his Beast Amber form, and then a pace change occurs. Now again, chat. Pace change occurs, right? Pace change occurs, Kashimo gets his hits. And now Sukuna should acknowledge that, oh yeah, Kashimo's faster now, right? Pace change occurs, Kashimo gets hit, and he's like, oh, okay, now, okay, Hikari got faster. Oh. Right? Oh, frick. Pace change occurs, Kashimo acknowledges that Hikari got faster. And he's not able to adjust. Pace change occurs, Sukuna should be able to acknowledge that he got faster. And this isn't a good indicator because maybe this attack is slower than Kashimo himself, right? Maybe. And so, you know, Sukuna's able to react to that. He tries to blitz Sukuna, and boom, he's still able to react, right? And now we'll get into what happens here, right? And so I was thinking about it. I was like, first of all, I was thinking about the fight from my head. I thought that like Kashimo was absolutely obliterating Sukuna, but I didn't realize it was literally only this. I didn't realize it was literally only like 4 pages, bro. What? 1, 2, 3. Is that even? This is even a freaking fight page. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is Mythical Beast Amber versus this version of Sukuna. There's a lot that goes into this, okay? First of all, again, pace change occurs and Sukuna is able to adjust, right? So it's not like Kashimo's like a blitz tier above Sukuna at this point. A pace change occurs and Sukuna is able to adjust to it, plain and simply. Well, on top of that, Sukuna is in a state where he's weaker, right? Obviously, you know, losing body parts, body parts is detrimental to your curse energy output, right? We already acknowledged that. And curse energy output is important here because curse energy output is related to your speed and your physicals. Because we saw Takaba, I don't feel like bringing it up, but Takaba blitzes Hazunoki, blitzes both Hazunoki and what's that guy's name? Reggie. And then Reggie's like, oh crap, his curse energy output just spiked out of nowhere, right? So it's related to your to your physicals, right? So on top of the fact that, like, you know, Sukuna has lost output in terms of that, but also Sukuna is lower output objectively. He just is, right? So he's lower output from his fight with Gojo, right? And so I don't see this as a very impressive feat to be going in quotations relative with Sukuna, right? Because what you can say, like, so what happens right here, right? We already acknowledged that Sukuna is able to react to Kashimo by now, right? He's able to react to Kashimo. What Kashimo can do from here is try to beat him in terms of like, now Kashimo can't just get a hit on him because he's faster, right? Over here it's a pace change, so he's able to hit him because he's faster, right? He can't do that anymore because Sukuna has adjusted to his speed. And so now what Kashimo can do is try to beat him in terms of like battle IQ or a way to get through it. You know what I mean? So a good example of this is, of course, base Kashimo versus base Hikari, because they're supremely relative, right? Oh crap, oh no, it's still here. They're supremely relative, right? So what Kashimo has to do to get through that is use his hand-to-hand combat, right? He's just blatantly better than him in hand-to-hand combat. I don't know if Hikari just outstats him if he continues trying. I'm not gonna slander Kashimo that much, but hey, you know what I mean? But he is better than him in hand-to-hand combat. Kashimo cannot blitz Hikari, so what he can do to be Hikari is be better than him in hand-to-hand combat. It's as simple as that, right? And so the same thing is happening here, where Kashimo is in quotations relative to Sukuna. Sukuna is able to react to him now, and all he can do now is use his battle IQ. He fakes out a swing, fakes out a sound wave. Sukuna blocks it, and then he punches him from his blind side. Right? And that's how he lands his final hit of the fight. And then this part of the fight happens. Now this one, I've seen a lot of pathetic code for this, but not pathetic. Okay, let me chill out. It's not pathetic, honestly. I am a victim of it. I thought I fell for the propaganda. Let me explain what actually happens in this fight. The first thing that happens in this fight is Kashimo running towards Sukuna. I don't know where the assumption that Sukuna, like, that Kashimo reacted to Sukuna or something like that. I don't know where this came from, right? Look at the lines behind Sukuna. You see this, right? And you're going to assume that you see only this, and you're going to be like, okay, Sukuna's the one rushing towards Kashimo, right? And so if that's the case, then there shouldn't be any lines beyond Kashimo, right? Or if there are any lines, then they should be like they should be like the opposite way to show that like he's attacking Kashimo, right? So if Sukuna's the one rushing towards Kashimo, then they should be there shouldn't be anything on the opposite side, because again, if this is supposed to indicate him moving, then it's just supposed to show that, right? But then we see beyond Kashimo, and it's the exact same way. It's literally the exact same way. Shooting towards Kashimo, right? Yo, King. Shooting towards this way. So now, the narrative changes from, okay, Sukuna is rushing towards him to Kashimo is rushing towards him, and that's where the air is going towards, right? The air is going towards Sukuna because Kashimo is rushing him. And so we see the encounter. Kashimo tries to shoot an EM wave in freaking Sukuna's face, and he just taps it away. You hear that? Taps it away, right? And Sukuna tries to punch him, and, you know, Kashimo was able to block them. But that's not impressive. Why is that impressive in the slightest? Right? We've seen characters block Sukuna too. Like, what? You know what I mean? And then Sukuna overwhelms him. Again, this is what I talked about earlier, where I exited it. I talked about it earlier, where they're relative in speed, right? They're relative in speed, and all Sukuna can do from now is all they can do from now is overwhelm them in terms of like battle IQ or something else. Sukuna can't overwhelm him in speed, obviously, because he doesn't feel like it, which we'll go into in a second. He can't overwhelm him in speed, so he'll just overwhelm him in strength. He has more hands, right? He'll overwhelm him in strength. And then, you know, this, I don't think people like try to use this to gas Kashimo in any way. I hope not. I don't really have to go over that. This is like, yeah, whatever. Hold on. Yeah, so, and then this happens, right? I've seen outrageous cope for this. I've never fell for this cope. Sukuna shoots Kamutoke at Kashimo. Do I need to remind you guys that this guy literally has a what's that word? An X-ray. He has X-ray vision. Like, bro, something blocking his vision, especially lightning. Are you guys like, bro? You guys have to understand the cope. People are basically saying that Sukuna shot him with Kamutoke to blind him. If you guys are saying that he blinded him with lightning, the literal thing that he's controlling, with X-ray vision, that literally demotes like discredits Kashimo's abilities. It does. So if you So like, it's either you want to say that Kashimo's abilities aren't like that, or you want to acknowledge that this didn't blind him. And so Sukuna, in quotations, he blitzes behind him, right? The indication of that is this. This is the indication of being blitzed, right? He blitzes behind him, and then Kashimo attempts to turn around, and then Sukuna overwhelms him and kills him. Okay? Now, let's go into examples of this happening with other characters. Goodness gracious. Okay, so yeah. So let's go into other examples of this happening with other characters, right? We have like, oh, you know what? I just realized I had some. Oh damn! I had this open for the previous chapter. Actually, I did. I had this open because we have an example of Yuta going against Sukuna. Of course, we have to acknowledge that Sukuna had the ability to perception blitz all of them in his back pocket, but he's literally going relative with Yuta here because he feels like it, right? He goes relative with Yuta here, right? And how is it that Yuta is able to actually hit Sukuna? By using battle IQ. Sukuna's focused on Rika, right? So he punches him, right? He punches him. So it's the same way how Kashimo fakes out the freaking sound waves, right? He fakes out the sound wave, and then he punches him in his blind side. So Kashimo doesn't scale above Meguna, and he doesn't scale to this Sukuna. We see feats of the same caliber, and again, Sukuna does not go. It's literally actually stated that Sukuna doesn't use. Actually, no, it's not stated directly, but it's implied that. Why do I have this here? Anyways, it's implied that Sukuna's curse energy output does not go high, like that does not go insanely high until he goes against Maki, right? And the reason for this is goodness gracious. Anyways, the reason for this is Sukuna. Oh, what? King, go to your bed. Hikari talks about curse energy output. Talk about curse energy. Urame's like, you guys didn't show anyone. Sukuna isn't fighting anything seriously. He's not taking anything seriously. You guys should be ashamed not bringing anyone better with a better fight than Saduru Gojo. Obviously, this has nothing to do with like strength, right? Because of course, the better fight than Saduru Gojo, not the better fight actually, but a fight on par with it, I guess you can say, is the Maki fight, right? Basically, the implication is Sukuna isn't taking anyone seriously. We have the three characters that Sukuna actually, in quotations, was interested in, which is Yuta, Higuruma, and Kashimo. Come on. Load, bro. Right? Kashimo, Higuruma, Yuta. Right? They all had stuff that was interesting. And so they're all under the exact same umbrella of he's not trying against you guys. He's not taking you guys seriously, and his curse energy is literally reflecting that. And then he fights against Maki, and he's at his best. He's elated by it. She's completely piqued his interest. The point of this scene is to show that this Maki fight is going to be the fight where his curse energy spikes the most. And that's why he shoots a black flash, right? And so with that being the case, if Sukuna is able to shoot curse energy out the most against Maki with the ability to blitz her, that means that whatever happened here is not indicative of Sukuna's full speed or anything like that. So even if we want to, again, you can cope about, Sukuna and Kashimo's interaction right here, which is just not indicative of anything, because again, freaking Sukuna and Yuji, Sukuna and Yuta are fighting against each other. You know, Yuta's reacting to Sukuna's attacks. Sukuna's reacting to Yuta's attacks. Yuta's getting attacks on him. Sukuna's getting attacks on him. You know what I mean? So even beyond the fact that we've literally seen the exact same thing just performed by Yuta, but we also have to acknowledge that Sukuna isn't trying. He isn't trying at all. So NBA Kashimo isn't that impressive to me. He's just not. He's not impressive. You can't scale him anywhere. You cannot. And so this is where, you know, we can talk about. I actually, you know what? Another long-winded explanation where I forgot that Sukuna just blatantly blisses him. What this is an example of, I can give you another example. It's not this. It's actually the chapter before. No, it's not the chapter before this. It's 140. Let's see if I can find it. In chapter 140, it's not 140, bro. It's 139. Oh my gosh, bro. I'm a fraud, chat. So, Kashimo gets blitzed. We see the freaking. This is like a. I don't know what you call this, but like this is like maybe a shock indicator or something like that. And so the same thing happens right here. They both get blitzed by it. Kashimo gets blitzed by this, right? And so just like Kashimo turns around, right, as people try to say that like he reacts, Yuji reacts. But guess what happens? Naoya attacks him first. Sukuna attacks him first. Like, do you see? I've never seen someone cope about. Goodness gracious, what the hell? I've never seen people cope about Yuji like scaling to Naoya here. Does he scale to him? No, he got blitzed blatantly. He blatantly got blitzed. He blatantly got blitzed here. But the same isn't replicated. Like, bro, literally the exact same thing happens here. The exact same thing. And again, like I said, Sukuna literally... like I said, Sukuna has more curse energy output. More, not curse energy output, but more incentive, more implication to be trying harder against... Not implication. He is objectively trying harder against Maki. But it's more implication that he is stronger against Maki than he is against Kashimo. Because the implication is that during the Maki fight, he's finally going to shoot out a whole bunch of curse energy output that he wasn't doing against anyone else. Right? And so that's why, you guys want to... So that's why Sukuna goes on to fight against, like, Yuji, right? People compare Yuji against Sukuna and Yuji against Sukuna and Maki against Sukuna. Sukuna is blatantly fighting harder against Maki. It's literally, it's shown to us by the fact that Sukuna's fighting against he's, goodness gracious. This is shown by the fact that like Sukuna damn, what was it? I've hold on. What was it? Honestly, this is okay. I'm not gonna lie. This was like, it was gonna be a bonus thing, but I forgot what I usually say about that. I forgot. But that doesn't really have to do anything with Kashimo. It was basically like gonna be a Yuji versus Maki thing. That's completely separate from what we're talking about. So we'll come back to the Kashimo thing. Yeah, NBA Kashimo is just not that impressive. How far are we into this? This is gonna be my first ever 1 hour long Yap video. This is how much I'm putting into this. Okay, so yeah, NBA Kashimo just isn't that impressive, right? I don't see him as that impressive. He's not that fast, right? He's not that fast. He's not that strong. He's just not that guy, right? And you know, can you scale him to Jackpot Hikari? No, you can't. He just scales nowhere. He scales absolutely nowhere, okay? Like, all you can say from there is just cope. That's all you can say. His skill is absolutely nowhere. He has, you can't, like, you literally try to compare their feats, and like Yuta is performing the same feats. Like, all these other guys are reacting to Sukuna while he has the ability to just blitz them whenever he wants to, like he does right here, right? He's, Kajimo's reacting to Sukuna, but Sukuna blitzes him right here. So, yeah, you can't even use this. So he literally scales nowhere, all right? So, yeah, he's just not that guy, He's just not that guy. Lightning discharge. So I wanted to go into this, and this is another thing that I fell for, and plain and simply, I'm just over it. I'm over it. Okay. I don't think this is that strong. So, lightning discharge. We've seen it go against a couple of characters. We have Hikari, we have Panda, and we have Sukuna. Wait, oh, that's why I had those open, bro. I freaking deleted them. That's crazy. Anyways, I've come to the conclusion that the curse energy output, the curse energy lightning, actually, the lightning that that Kashimo shoots, scales to his output. I've come to that conclusion, and the reason for that is because, first off, you have to understand the what's that word? Whatever. You have to understand the nature. That's the word. You have to understand the nature of the attack. The lightning discharge is, he gives you a positive charge, he has a negative charge on you. He sends a negative charge, lightning shoots towards you, and it explodes. Alright? And the reason why we know this is because in chapter 188, he's like, okay, I'm going to shoot it into his head, and then it's going to explode in his head. Right? And so, when that happens, it's a different effect to, say, this, where he just shoots it and then boom, right? Bro, I'm pretty sure there's actually, this isn't a good example, because this is like, this right here, okay, this is where I can actually respect it. This is like an attack where, like, I don't think people are actually tanking this, because it's literally going through you. You cannot tank this right here, right? It's just gone through you. You're just in the way of the attack, right? It's just like World Cutting Slash. It's kind of like World Cutting Slash, but not exactly the same, where Gojo was just in the way of the space that Sukuna was cutting. You know what I mean? So everything that was there just didn't matter. It's just the same way as someone standing in the middle of the curse energy discharge, right? Oh, actually, I guess this is a good example, right? Because, if there is something, that's a good point. Actually, I just realized maybe this is a good example, because if you're just durable enough, then it shouldn't be able to just get through you. You know what I mean? But the reason why I think you could just be strong enough, just be durable enough to tank it, is because we just see Sukuna do that, right? He sends the lightning at him, and it literally says bam. He sends the lightning at him, and then bam, right? And then, like, it isn't like a, oh yes, like this is supposed to be like, okay, basically I'm gonna explain the flow of events. Kashimo sent the lightning. It probably hits him, and then, boom, right? Explosion, right? And then he transforms. And the reason why I don't think this explosion is coming from Sukuna, like, transforming, is because we see Kashimo's reaction because of this, right? We see the reaction because he can see him come out of the smoke and be like, what the frick, right? So this explosion came from the lightning. This reaction right here is like, oh, what the heck? This guy just came out of the lightning a completely different person, right? So blatantly, if this was such a, like, the explosion happens and it does nothing to Sukuna, right? So I think that you can be just durable enough to tank the attack, right? Now, this is a Hikari downscale, so to say. But I can just say that, oh, Hikari doesn't care about reinforcing his body when he's in Jackpot, right? He does reinforce his body, but he doesn't reinforce it that much because it doesn't matter. Because he's going to heal. It's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as that because, bro, he's literally getting hit by cargo doors. Like, he's literally getting hit by cargo doors and freaking, like, taking damage. And we've literally seen an example of Hikari just taking damage for no reason. Like, Kashimo hits him, and Hikari's just standing there taking attacks. So yeah, that's what I can say for Hikari. So that's not a downscale for Hikari. It's a downscale for, like, a not trying Hikari. Sure, I don't care, right? No one cares, right? But now we get into, okay, now how would his lightning discharge interact with other people? And so it's like, okay, if this scales to his output, you know who's the output king? Ryu Ishigori. And so we have Ryu. I do not have it up. What did I just delete? We have Ryu shooting his granite blasts with curse energy out. It scales to his curse energy output. Like we see his curse energy. Let me just put it up. Let me just explain this, right? Because I've seen code for this. I've actually just seen just outrageous code for it. It just makes no sense to me. Basically, people are saying that, like, Granite Blast doesn't scale to his curse energy output when it's literally stated that it does. It's literally stated right here that no matter how strong, bro, Granite Blast with his cursing beak, Granite Blast with his cursing beak and Granite Blast without it, it's the exact same power. Is literally stated. So this Granite Blast, every single Granite Blast we see is literally something that you, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Granite Blast, every Granite Blast that we see is something that Ryu can do without his cursing technique at all times. So let's say, for example, Higuruma did confiscation to Ryu, he can still shoot Granite Blast. Right here, Ryu literally does not have his Granite Blast anymore. He doesn't have it. I mean, he doesn't have his cursing technique. That's what I meant. He doesn't have his cursing technique anymore. He doesn't have it because they just used a domain expansion. It's so OP. Ryu's so OP in that case. And so now, if that's the case, how does Granite Blast scale? We have Rika just taking the attack with her bare hands. We have Yuta constantly taking the attack, right? And again, like, these characters make more sense to be this durable, right? Because be more durable than a Hikari who just doesn't care to reinforce his body, right? Like, for example, the fact that, you know, Rika has this statement that she might be tougher than a Kotsu, and a Kotsu has the statement from Ryu, the previous chapter, where he's the one attacking Yuta, and he's like, oh yeah, Yuta's like super durable because of his curse energy, right? He's like, oh crap, like he keeps reinforcing his curse energy, you know, yada 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 yada, right? So these people make more sense to be like this super durable character, and it's not far-fetched to be like, okay, the lightning bolt would work against Hikari, who doesn't really care to defend himself, right? Like, we see right here, Yuta's like, okay, I have to guard well to not take damage from this. Bro, he's taking damage. Bro, Hikari himself is taking damage with more curse. Bro, guys, you have to understand how crazy this is. Hikari is taking more damage from, he's taking more damage with more curse energy than Yuta. And Yuta is stated to have high curse energy, high durability because of his curse energy. Okay? So it's blatant that, like, Hikari just doesn't care that much to reinforce his body, because theoretically, regardless of Hikari's like curse energy manipulation, right? You can maybe like you can say that like, oh, you can have the same amount of curse energy, but someone who's better in reinforcement would have better physicals, right? Better durability, which is the case. But Hikari has more curse energy, so he should like completely offset the difference in like curse energy reinforcement ability. You know what I mean? He should be able to do that, but he just doesn't, because it doesn't matter, right? So yeah, I do think that, you know, if Yuta were to get into contact with the lightning bolt, or Ryu were to get into contact with the lightning bolt, or Rika were to get into contact with the lightning bolt, they're not like literally just face tanking it or anything like that, but they're not dying to it. They're not. Ryu especially. Actually, Ryu might literally face tank it. I'm not gonna lie, but we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But I don't think lightning discharge is like, because obviously that's the main cope for like, you know, Ryu versus Kashimo. Ryu's frying him. Okay, the main cope was that Kashimo used lightning discharge on him. He would take off a limb. Ryu doesn't have RCT, so yada yada. Nah, it's just not happening. Okay. Now we have durability. This is like, honestly, a very pathetic stat for him. He dies to a simple dismantle from Sukuna. The levels to this is like just ridiculous. Oh crap, isn't just not here. Sukuna uses this waffle dismantle to against a whole bunch of characters in the series, right? And Cosmo's just not able to tank it. He's not able to take it. He just dies, right? Now I have an example of Yuta and Yuji taking the same attack with Sukuna at full, like using it with 100% output. All right. So here's the difference, right? Kashimo gets hit with this attack, which you cannot prove is 100% output Kashimo. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sukuna shoots an attack at Kashimo, and you cannot prove that it's a 100% output attack from him. And the reason you can't is because there is no implication of it, right? And for this one, we know that it is, because Sukuna shoots it, and he's like, okay, I need to cleave them to kill them. Right? Sukuna shoots a full power dismantle. He shoots a dismantle, actually. And the fact that it's full power leads him to believe that he needs to shoot a cleave to kill them. That's the point. So, I'm honestly thinking about the Maki thing that I mentioned earlier, so maybe I can like chain scale it to say that, you know, this attack was stronger than before. Maybe you can say that, because what you can say is that Sukuna uses 100% output right here, right? And again, like, okay, Sukuna uses 100% output right here, and then Sukuna, oh, frick, what am I trying to say? Sukuna uses 100% output right here, like the most amount of output he can take out right here against Yuta and Yuji, and he's like, okay, I need to literally kill them with a cleave, right? And you go on to see that like Kashimo, Higuruma, and Yuta are all in the same tier of like interest for Sukuna. So if that's the case, if they're in the same tier of interest for Sukuna, and Sukuna shoots a full output slash at Yuta, and you cannot prove that this is a full output slash at Kashimo, then this one probably is just stronger than that slash. Now that one's is kind of iffy for me. I don't know why it's iffy. I could just say that, but I feel like there's something that I'm missing right here, so I'm not gonna completely say that. But yeah, this is a complete anti-fee. He just dies to this, right? And we see characters just survive it, so Domain victim. Now, I've made a video saying that he's not a domain victim in terms of like he just instantly dies in the domain. He has Hollow Worker Basket. But then like there's Kashimo fans who cope about his like counters to domain, which is again Hollow Worker Basket, but also him using lightning discharge on you and it like, you know, making you take enough damage to take down your domain. We've already established that lightning discharge just isn't that strong. Like who? Anyways, but also like, Kashimo. There's also cope that Kashimo can use lightning discharge to destroy it from the outside, but that's not even reliable as well because making a hole in a domain does not equate breaking the domain. We have examples of that, like Yuji breaking Mahito's domain from the outside, and the sure hit still hitting him and Sukuna, and then the only way for it to literally get taken down is Mahito taking damage. And the other example is Megumi making a hole in Dagon's domain, or the fact that Megumi doesn't just make a hole. Actually, he does make a hole. He makes 2 holes. He gets inside of the domain, but also he makes a hole to get outside of it. Right? So, yeah. Making a hole just doesn't equate to that. And so, quite frankly, it's just over. When someone has a domain, it's a ticking time bomb. It is for him, because assuming if he's in base and he's going against a domain, say goodbye. All right, say goodbye. Okay, say #goodbye. If he's in NBA, he has a little bit more going for him, right? He has Hollow Worker Basket, and then he could shoot with his mouth, and he could fight with kicks. But overall, right at the end of this video, how long are we into this? 1 hour, 12 minutes. At the end of the video, this is the skill for Kashimo. We have Jackpot Hikari, who is equal. Well, not equal. Let's say just relative. Where is that? Oh crap! I just realized this keyboard that I bought is the shortened one, so it doesn't have these specific keys. What? I just realized this. It literally does not. Okay, I'm gonna just put. Just imagine this as like the squiggly line between them, right? Jackpot Hikari equals Yuta relative to Ryu, and they're all above base Kashimo, who's relative to base Hikari. Not trying. Then we have NBA Kashimo, who's a bum, who you just cannot scale him anywhere, right? You just can't scale him anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you literally cannot scale him anywhere. He doesn't have good feats. The only feats you can, like, again, the reason why people would scale him so high is because, first of all, the assumption was that base Kashimo is relative to Hikari, but he's just not. So you cannot scale base Kashimo to NBA Kashimo and say that he's a tier above them, because he's not scaling to them, right? So that's gone. But on top of that, we look at the fight. He doesn't have good feats against Meguna, and he does not have good feats against Hein Kuna, or True Form Sukuna. So NBA Kashimo scales absolutely nowhere, and you cannot scale him to anyone, so he's a bum. And overall, I have Gojo beating him, I have Sukuna beating him, I have Hikari beating him, I have Yuta beating him, I have Maki, Toji, that might be a little bit controversial. I'm not gonna say that real quick. I'm gonna just think a little bit more about that. But I got Ryu beating him. I might take Uro. I'm not gonna lie. I might take Uro. Am I taking Uro? Let me not disrespect him real quick. I'll think more about Uro. Who else? Who else am I forgetting? Oh, Kenjaku fucks him. Oh my gosh. Don't broadcast that, please. He violates him, okay? Yorozu. I gotta think more about Yorozu. Who else beats him? Oh, Yuji. Yuji. I don't know, just too much to think about off the top of my head. So how much is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Kashimo's maybe top 11, right? Because I got to think more about Uro, and there's another character that I want to think about. Oh, I got to think more about Yorozu as well. She probably beats him as well. Yuki. Do I want to put Yuki there? Do I want to put Yuki there? I'm putting Yuki. So maybe he's like top 11, maybe he's top 12, maybe top 13. I don't know, but yeah, we are done with Kashimo. We're done with this guy. Okay, we're done. Oh my gosh, Chad, I forgot about. Oh no, I don't have to think. Oh no, I don't have to talk about that. Actually, no, I'm just gonna have a whole bunch of cope in the comments. No, I don't have to talk about that. Actually, let's go.